Here's my 99 Softail I dubbed Slamtail. So this video, it's kind of going to be a non-technical video basically about the rear wheel tire setup that I chose to do on my Softail. So I had some questions regarding the spacing and some other things, how exactly I put a wider wheel on here. Well, it's not really a well-kept secret. It's pretty simple. So the main thing, if you're widening a wheel, is the spacing. So from the factory, if you don't already know, this would have came with the 16 by 3 inch solid rear rim, factory 130 size tire. So what I went to here is an 18 by 3.5 inch width to a 140 size tire. Not a drastic difference, but enough to make it a nuisance to change. So like I said, the main thing is the spacing. I don't know what the factory spacers would have been size-wise because I did do this conversion 3-4 years ago, but I mean, you gotta kind of look at it logistically speaking. So it's really not that hard. So I went from a 3 inch to a 3.5, so it's 1/2 inch wider. Divide that by 2, so I got a 1/4 inch over here, 1/4 inch on the other side. Not that big of a difference. Pretty simple actually. This one would have came with a 3 1/4 size axle, and I don't know if all Evo Softails came with that, but I know a majority of them did. So probably the easiest thing to do if you don't want to, or you're too scared to like measure what this is and just subtract from there, I would recommend go to your hardware store, get some 3/4 inch washers, not the thickness but the size of the hole, that way they slide over the axle, and just stack them up here, stack them up on the other side. Yes, it will cause you to lift and lower the wheel multiple times, but it'll be the best thing to do to center this wheel. So then once you're happy with the sizing, take that out, measure that stack, order the spacers that you need. And also too, there's not a lot of clearance with this brake caliper bracket. So what I recommend doing is taking off a 1/4 inch right here. So it's raised, actually I'd probably say like 1/8 of an inch. So it's raised out here, flattens out, and then it actually raises back up and tightens up and gets closer to this rim. And then also it curves, hard to see, but it curves in a little closer here. So this does need modified if you're running a wider wheel. This is probably the hardest part of the conversion, but I'll show you a video real quick of what I ended up doing with that. It's not impossible, but it just takes a little bit of work. Here's that inner bracket that the caliper right here resides in, and you want to trim a section of this out. Now it's quite difficult. It's rather thick metal, but this is the piece that you need to cut out. Nothing too crazy. You might be able to grind it off, but I would say I took about 1/8 inch off, and it sits like this. But whenever you pull this bracket off, you can see how this piece is pretty much probably like 1/8 of an inch. So this is raised 1/8 of an inch flat here, and then it raises back up. So this raised portion is what you cut off. So I should have taken a video of it before, but pretty much it sits like that. You can see how where the axle goes through, it's raised up, flattens back down, and then it raises back up around this way. So this is the section you cut off. So it's all uniform. And the reason you do that is because obviously the wheel is wider. You are widening the wheel a total of 1/2 of an inch, so you're taking the wheel 1/4 of an inch either way or either side, so you need to take some of this spacing out. So it'll be easier to see on the bike, but if you don't trim it, it's just too close to the rotor. And then same thing on the very end, you want to trim all the way up top there, as far as you can before you get into the big bulky sections where the caliper resides. But you want to trim as much as possible, that way you don't have any interference. So I initially, when I did the conversion to the wider wheel, the 3 inch to 3.5 inch wide wheel, I had the spacing set perfectly. However, I was getting some rubbing under hard braking on the inside of this, and that's why you want to trim this down. So I have a new rotor that I'm going to be placing on here, but you can see around in here what was happening was it was just crimping too close to here and just a little bit rubbing on there, nothing major, but it definitely wasn't right, so I went back and ground that down. Now it's time to put it all back together. Actually, first I'm going to paint this. This is aluminum. At least I believe it's aluminum, so obviously you don't have to worry about it rusting, but looks like crap, and even though you're really not going to see it, it's going to sit like that. I definitely want to paint it. That way it doesn't get any corrosion, or you pull it off, it looks like garbage. So we'll paint it and we'll put it all back together. So here's the finalized setup. It's all installed. I meant to take a video of it whenever I was done painting it, but I forgot to hit the record button. So unfortunately, in my lapse of judgment, you won't see that. It's all put together now, though. As far as paint goes, I just used a basic satin black, matched the factory pretty good. This, in here, this side is the original paint. I only painted this top side, the bottom side, and then the inner. So it matches really well. Hard to tell right now because you're getting a lot of shadows. Looks like it's spotted, but it's really not. But it looks pretty good. Now there is no interference, and we're good to go. So here's the finalized product. Garage is a little dirty, tripping over stuff, but it looks pretty good. What do you think, Poochie Pooch? Ready to ride? Alright, appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, any more things you want me to go into depth, by all means let me know, comment, and I'll see what I can do for you. But in the meantime, I appreciate you watching. Appreciate it if you like my video and subscribe. Thanks for watching.